Hey, this is Dylan and welcome back to the Western Wild channel. Today we're going to talk about an exciting new option for keeping your portable battery stations charged up while out on the road, whether you're doing an overlanding trip, general camping, whatever, this has you covered. And that is the EcoFlow 800-watt Alternator Charger. Now this is a option that I had never really considered before, honestly. We've known that we need an extra source to charge our batteries for some time. I had always looked at solar as the best option and kind of didn't really consider this EcoFlow route until a deal popped up at Lowe's to be able to pick this up for $800 for the Delta 2 battery system plus the 800-watt charger. That was like $400 off, something crazy like that. Had to jump on it and give it a go. And the more that I thought about it, the more it actually made sense for our application. Solar panels are great if you're going to sit in one spot for a long time, but to charge up a 1,000 watt hour power system like this, you need a lot of panels on the roof, you need a lot of sunshine, a lot of variables that might not work out to get your power station charged up every day. This system, on the other hand, maximum of 800 watts out of your truck battery and alternator, and you can charge up a 1,000 watt hour battery like this in, they say, about 1 hour and 20 minutes or so, which is a game changer for many applications. A lot of videos out there on this product talking through the details. I'd suggest you go check out some other channels before buying this. Today, our focus is going to be on how do we get a system like this installed inside of our truck shell style camper. EcoFlow, most of their information on this is for installing it in a car, like inside of an SUV. Most of the videos out there kind of cover the same application. Not too many people getting this installed in a truck bed, so we're going to walk through some of the challenges in accomplishing that, and yeah, you're gonna help me solve the problem along the way. Hey, Dylan from the future here. If you're watching this video when it comes out in November of 2024, EcoFlow is actually running a really sweet Black Friday special on this particular combination. I wanna say it's around $600 for both of these. That's like $600 off and $200 less than what I paid. So if you wanna take advantage of that, I will put a link down in the description below. Also wanna note that we've actually had the chance to take this system out on a 2-week trip. I have thoughts on that. If you want to skip the installation in this video, go ahead to the end of the video and we'll talk about our experience with this product on a real 2-week trip. Now, before going to the effort to wire all of this into your truck, I would strongly recommend that you test the system first, coming right out of your engine bay, just to make sure that this is the proper solution for you. I have seen that some vehicle alternator combinations on the market don't necessarily produce the full 800 watts that this alternator is rated for. Some might not work in general. So before you go too far and drill any holes or anything like I'm going to do, make sure to test it with the engine. I've already done that. The Tundra alternator does support the whole 800 watt charge rate. So we're going to move ahead and start on the install. Now, this system ships with this beefy, high-quality wiring harness here. I want to say this is around 6-gauge wiring. It is nicely wrapped, this wire loom, so that you can take it underneath the vehicle like we're going to do today. The one challenge out of that is that it comes with this big component at the end here that I'm not entirely sure what the purpose is. The problem, though, is that this is the piece that actually plugs into the alternator charger, which needs to live very close to wherever the battery is going to be. That means that to get this wired, we have to start in the truck bed and then work the battery lead wires back to the engine bay. I would much prefer to start in the other direction, but there's no way that I'm drilling a hole so big that we're going to run this through. So that's the way it's going to have to be. Within our super basic truck bed camper build out, we've got a bench over on this side. We've decided on landing the fridge right here. And then the battery is probably going to live down in this corner as well. So the alternator charger needs to live not too far away from the battery. I'm going to likely utilize this Molly gear panel rack that Oru provided us with the camper to install that piece probably right around here, which means that we need to find a spot somewhere in this general vicinity to get that big beefy cable out of the bed or out of the camper so that we can wire it underneath the truck. And I'll show you the options that I've been looking at and what I think we finally settled on. So with the alternator charger living in this general vicinity, the battery living down here, my first choice was to actually drill a hole in the camper itself and install some sort of a wired gasket that would help to keep water from transferring back through. Big problems with that. One, it's kind of difficult to keep water out at that point. And two, if we ever needed to remove the camper or do any maintenance work on it, whatever, that would involve having to pull out the entire wiring harness to accomplish that. So we don't really want to have that challenge in the future, which leads me to finding some way to actually run the wiring through the truck bed itself. Now, at first, I had looked at this hole right here as a candidate. There is a gap in between the inner wall here and the actual bodywork on the truck that you can run something through there. The challenge is that there's other support structures on the other side of this. It might be kind of difficult to run the cabling through. Also, really don't want to mess with the integrity of the spray-on bed liner here, or just deal with the complexity of drilling a hole that's like close to an inch in width. So that leads us to the next option. A lot of truck beds come with these like plastic grommets. I don't know what they're called. Not entirely sure what the function of that is either, but that provides us an opportunity because we could conceivably drill or cut a hole in this plastic and then run the cable through that way. And if we mess up in one way or another, this should, in theory, be a replaceable part from Toyota that we can swap it back in and make the truck brand new again. It's hard to really see through here, but that grommet pops out the other side right in the middle in this gap. So we would take the wire down, loop it through, and then tie in along the frame here, tuck it up nicely, and then work into the engine bay from there. So middle part shouldn't be too difficult. Getting started coming out of the truck camper and then working the wire into the engine bay will be the hard parts. Option A to get this wiring through is going to be to drill a hole in that plastic grommet. I've got a 1-inch spade bit that should make a wide enough gap. I'd prefer a hole just because I think that the circle is going to maintain more rigidity in that plastic as opposed to cutting a square, but we shall see. I'm going to start out by drilling just a quick pilot hole, and if this doesn't work out, we'll go to plan B, which will be to cut that square hole. Pilot hole went through all right, so we're gonna test out the spade bit. Everything I've read on this is that you can use a spade bit on plastic. The key is just to go really slow, so we will see how that goes. We have a hole. You can see through to daylight out the other side. I think the key thing here is just going to be, as we're trying to run this wire through, to be very, very careful, because this plastic is somewhat brittle. Running the wire through, we want to try to angle it so when it comes out the other side that we can reach it. Okay, here's the first big hurdle. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. Okay, so you can see we have the wire through, coming out here. Now the key is going to be just to pull it out enough so that we only have enough slack left on the inside to wire it appropriately and get the most cable length that we can to get up to the engine bay, because I think it's just barely going to be long enough for this project. Get the wire coming down from the bed there. Now the next step is to run this up in a protected position along the frame. Thought about wiring it through these holes in the frame and just kind of sneaking it through to protect it, but that sounds like a lot of work, and it's perfectly good protected position up above this brake line. I think we're going to clear the mount for the leaf springs and shouldn't run into anything hot along here, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so we got this all zip tied in. Apologize, stop filming for a moment because this last bit is really quite a pain. No worries up until here, and then trying to thread this through up into the engine bay without touching anything that moves or is hot. That was a challenge. If you're seeing something stupid that I've done here, please let me know in the comments so I can correct it. But overall, not too bad for not having a ton of experience working in here. Last step, just get this tied into positive, and then get that into the ground, and we'll be good to test. Last bit on this install is to add this fuse. Then you attach the red wire to your positive, and the black goes onto a nice ground. I will say that with all of this, down to about the last like 6 inches to a foot of cable. So this was just enough to complete this project. Anything more than that, and I probably would have had to splice out some extra cable to complete it. And with that, we're all wired up, and let's test it out. Engine is on, light is green. Down here, we are working, charging at 500 watts. Currently, I have that set down from 800, but it will go all the way up to 800 if I adjust it in the app. So, pretty exciting. Next step here, got to get this mounted. I'll probably do that off video, and then we got to caulk up the hole, but otherwise, we're good to go. So as you can see, we completed the installation of the alternator charger up on the Molly panel here. And then we had an opportunity to actually test this system out in the real world on a 2-week trip to Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. Spent a bunch of nights out camping, on the road every single day, running our Dometic CFX 55 fridge through some really extreme temperatures. I mean, we spent probably a week and a half above 90 degrees during the day, maxing out at around 110 or so. This fridge and the battery working really hard to keep our food cool there. So we put the unit through its paces. Overall, really happy with it. We were probably driving, somewhere between 1 and 7 hours every day. And I don't think this battery dipped much below 80% that entire time, thanks to the alternator charger. It would fill up pretty quickly when we hit the road in the morning. Great overall. The one issue that we had with it was about halfway through our trip. We started to get some error codes in the app, both for the battery unit and the charger, and the battery stopped charging off of the Alternator charger. Fortunately, had access to Wi-Fi at the spot that we were staying at the time, was able to link both items up, make sure that all of the firmware was up to date, and get it back up and running again. There is a chance that the issue related more to our alternator running hard. We had, days of high heat, running lights off of the truck, driving at night, really using the system heavily. So that may have been a factor, may have been the updates. In any case, we got it taken care of. I'm not a fan when it comes to any equipment that's intended for overlanding or austere environments, when you ever have a situation where a firmware update is required for a system to run and be functional. I feel like, if you have an item that is up and running, it should at least be able to continue to run as it was intended until that firmware update has a chance to be installed. So that was less than great. Really the only knock on the product, I would say, if you buy this system or anything from EcoFlow, make sure to check those firmware updates before a big trip. Other than that, I think this is an awesome solution for overlanding style travel, anything where you are on the road often. We may still install a solar panel on our camper, just to have redundancy, and also for the scenarios, sometimes we go camping in the summertime and we stay in the same spot for 2 to 3 days and we don't want to run the engine on the truck. We're going to have Starlink here soon, and that would be great for those applications to have that redundancy. However, if you are on a true overland style trip or road trip where you're moving every single day, this thing is great. Highly recommend it for that. Pretty much just the keep the firmware updated issue is the only concern that we had. So if you're interested in buying this product, we've got a link down below. As I said earlier, if you're watching this in November of 2024, EcoFlow has a screaming deal on it right now where you can get this whole package for basically the price that you would normally pay for the Delta 2. So that just about wraps up our review and installation video here. If you enjoyed this content, you want to see more in-depth reviews on products, or watch our trip video content coming out, including that Southwest trip that we just did, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, stay wild.